welcome in our next guest. There you have him, Jorge Sedano, for the rating game. What's up, George?
What's going on, guys? Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. We are so happy to have you now. James Harden is confident that he is going to be back for the postseason, but I wonder, will Brooklyn's lack of continuity come back and bite them?
I'm going to say properly rated, Tony, because Steve Nash talked about this recently, and the magic number is 7. That's 7 games that Durant, Irving, and Harden have played together. It would be unprecedented for a team like that to win the championship. And here's the deal. We already felt like, okay, they're going to be great on offense. Yeah, they will be. And James Harden is, in essence, their point guard, will put guys in the right positions. But they've been under 500 when James Harden hasn't played, which is a big if now. So he says he's going to be ready. Okay, fine. I'll take him at his word. But here's the problem I have is defensively. Something we knew ahead of time that we felt like, well, maybe that will be a challenge for them because none of those guys are necessarily known for their defense except maybe KD. And here's the deal. When it comes to a 7-game series and you're facing an opponent that only has one team to worry about and one team to scheme against, they can find cracks in the dam. And I think defensively is where you can potentially find those cracks with the Nets.
George, with Kawhi and Paul George in the lineup, the Clippers are 30-10. When this statement is uttered, they are a sleeping giant in the Western Conference playoffs. What rate you, George?
I'm going to say underrated, man. They've won 13 of their last 17 games. And look, Ty Lue is notorious for kind of holding things back a little bit until the season progresses and even holding some stuff back until the playoffs. And we're starting to see that. They've built their continuity little by little with those two guys. Now, granted, it hasn't been as seamless as some people would have hoped, but they're getting healthy at the right time. They're starting to peak at the time you want to peak as you're heading into the postseason. I know they had a little 3-game slippage recently, but again, if you look at the broader picture, right? If you want to see the whole picture, just zoom out a little bit. 17 games, they're 13-4 in that stretch. And they're also got Pat Beverly back now. Little by little, this team is starting to find its footing. So I would say underrated.
Quite literally the opposite of the case for the Los Angeles Lakers. Have lost 7 of their last 9, banged up all up and down the roster. Dennis Schroeder in and out of the lineup. So look, Lakers wind up in the play-in tournament. They don't make the Western Conference Finals. Over, under, properly rated.
I'm going to still say overrated because as long as LeBron James is anywhere near 100%, I don't even need to see him at 100%. And as long as Anthony Davis is playing, and I know he got dinged up today, turned an ankle, or last night rather, and had some back spasms, but I don't think any of that stuff is going to keep AD out long-term per se. But to me, it's about LeBron. He's the straw that stirs the drink here, and as long as he can go, and I think he knows his body as well as any athlete we've ever covered in the history of sports, I feel good about this. If they're the 7 or the 8 seed, I'm not really all that worried if they have to face a Utah team who, let's face it, hasn't really proven anything in the postseason as good as they are and maybe as deep as they are. But I still don't feel like they've got kind of that go-to guy beyond Donovan Mitchell. I haven't seen Mike Conley be able to pull that off outside of maybe one trip to the conference finals in his particular career. And of course, Rudy Gobert, a great defensive player, but Anthony Davis has owned him in his career. And then with the Suns, for as great as Chris Paul and Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton have been, outside of Chris Paul, there's a lot of inexperience out there. It's basically Chris Paul, Jay Crowder, and a bunch of dudes who haven't really played in the playoffs, if at all, okay? So I would take my chances with the Lakers against either Utah or Phoenix if they had to play out of the 7 or 8 position. So overrated.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. You got us all nodding. There you have it. Jorge Sedano dropping knowledge. As always, appreciate the insight, George.
You got it, guys. Take care.